The sun rose over the vast and fertile valley of the Nile River. Its golden rays shimmered on the water's surface, winding through fields and villages, breathing life into an entire civilization. The Nile was more than just a river to Egypt. It was its heart. It brought food, trade, transportation, and spiritual meaning. The people worshipped it as a god, Hapi, the deity of the floodwaters who nourished the land and ensured prosperity. But on one extraordinary day, that sacred river would become a symbol of judgment, and the first sign of a divine confrontation that would shake the foundations of an empire. The calling of Moses. Moses, born a Hebrew but raised in the royal courts of Egypt, had fled the kingdom years earlier after killing an Egyptian. He had built a quiet life in the wilderness of Midian as a shepherd, far from the power and oppression of Pharaoh's palace. Everything changed when, one day, he encountered a burning bush that was not consumed by the flames. From the fire, the voice of God called out, "Moses, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I have heard the cries of my people enslaved in Egypt. Go to Pharaoh and tell him, 'Let my people go.'" Moses hesitated. He felt unworthy, slow of speech, fearful of rejection. But God reassured him and appointed his brother Aaron to speak on his behalf. And so, with the staff of God in his hand and a mission burning in his heart, Moses returned to Egypt to face the most powerful ruler in the world. Standing before Pharaoh. Moses appeared before Pharaoh and declared boldly, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says, 'Let my people go, so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness.'" Pharaoh scoffed. "Who is the Lord, that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go." Instead of freeing the Hebrews, Pharaoh increased their workload, making their oppression even harsher. The people turned against Moses, and in his anguish, he cried out to God. God responded with a promise, "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. By my mighty hand, he will let them go." The waters turned to blood. God instructed Moses to meet Pharaoh in the morning as he walked by the Nile. There, standing by the sacred river, Moses would deliver the first sign of divine power. With Aaron beside him, Moses stood firm as Pharaoh approached the river. The priests and magicians were nearby, and the people watched in curiosity and reverence. The Nile flowed as it always had, smooth, strong, and full of life. Moses raised his voice. "By this you will know that I am the Lord. With the staff in my hand, I will strike the water of the Nile, and it will be turned to blood." Aaron stretched out the staff and struck the water. Instantly, the clear blue river darkened to a deep crimson. Blood replaced water. Fish floated lifeless to the surface. The air filled with the stench of death. Priests recoiled. Barges stopped moving. The crowd gasped in terror. It wasn't just the Nile. Every river, canal, pond, well, and jar of water across Egypt turned to blood. The life-giving flow that sustained a nation now reeked of judgment and decay. The people panicked. They dug holes along the riverbanks, hoping to find drinkable water beneath the earth. But the plague spared nothing. For 7 long days, Egypt was parched and horrified. Pharaoh's hardened heart. Despite the devastation, Pharaoh did not yield. He summoned his magicians, who used their secret arts to mimic the miracle on a small scale, turning some water to blood themselves. Ironically, they could imitate the plague, but they could not reverse it. Still, Pharaoh dismissed Moses and returned to his palace. His heart remained hard. The people suffered. Their gods were silent. The sacred Nile was defiled. And yet Pharaoh would not listen. A direct blow to Egypt's gods. This plague was not just a physical disaster. It was a spiritual confrontation. Egypt worshipped many gods. Hapi, the god of the Nile. Khnum, the guardian of the river's source. Osiris, whose bloodstream was said to be the Nile itself. By turning the river to blood, the God of Israel declared war on the false gods of Egypt. He showed that their power was nothing, that the one who created the heavens and the earth ruled over even Egypt's most sacred symbol. It was also a sign to the Hebrew people. After centuries of slavery, many had forgotten the God of their fathers. But now they saw their God was alive. He heard their cries. He had not forgotten them, the beginning of deliverance. The first plague was a warning, a trumpet blast in the spiritual realm. God had spoken, and Pharaoh had ignored him. Now the conflict would escalate. Each plague would grow in intensity, revealing not just God's power, but also his justice and patience. And still, the message remained the same. Let my people go. The Nile, once the pride of Egypt, now served as a tool of judgment. The Pharaoh, believed to be divine, had no answer. The magicians could only replicate destruction, not healing. The people cried out for mercy, but Pharaoh's heart was stone. Lessons from the first plague. The story of the first plague of Egypt is more than just ancient history. It teaches us profound truths about power, pride, faith, and deliverance. No kingdom is untouchable. No ruler is beyond accountability, and no false god can stand before the true and living God. It reminds us that even in the darkest moments, God is working. He hears the cries of the oppressed. He answers in his time, and his justice always comes. And sometimes, to deliver a people, he first shakes a nation. As the blood flowed through the once pristine waters of the Nile, the God of Israel made his presence known. This was only the beginning. Let my people go.